Hey everyone! Today, let's talk about the invisible system that makes sure every international flight is safe and standardized. It's this massive web of rules and agreements, the regulatory framework that makes it all possible. And for those of you deep in your Easa Part 66 studies, yep, this is the very foundation of Submodule 1.
I mean, just stop and think about it for a second. Every single day, thousands of flights from hundreds of different airlines are crisscrossing the globe. How on earth does that not just descend into total chaos? How does it all work so smoothly? Well, it's not magic, that's for sure. The answer actually goes back more than 75 years, to a time right after World War II, when everyone realized the world needed to reconnect and they needed a safe way to do it. All right, so let's get into the specifics. It all started with one single, incredibly important event, the 1944 Chicago Convention. This is where the modern rulebook for flying was basically born. And you've got to hear the language they used back then. I mean, listen to this. It says aviation can help to create and preserve friendship and understanding among the nations and peoples of the world. This was about so much more than just airplanes. It was this huge, optimistic vision for a connected world. So things moved pretty quickly from there. You have 52 nations signing on the dotted line in 1944. And then, boom, just 3 years later, in 1947, the organization that came out of that meeting, the International Civil Aviation Organization, or Icao, is officially up and running. So what actually came out of this big meeting? Well, a lot. You've got the convention itself, these really important agreements on air travel, what we now call the freedoms of the air, and they even drafted the very first technical guides that would become the instruction manual for the entire industry. Let's break one of these freedoms down. Take this second freedom. This is super basic, but absolutely critical. It means an airline from, say, Canada can fly right over the United States on its way to Mexico. It also lets that plane land in the US just to refuel, but here's the key. It can't pick up or drop off any paying passengers. This simple rule is what makes those super long-haul flights even possible. Okay, now for one that's a bit more complex, but it's a real game changer, the fifth freedom. A classic example is a flight like Emirates flying from Dubai to Milan and then continuing on to New York. The fifth freedom is what allows them to sell tickets to new passengers who only want to fly from Milan to New York. It's how you build these massive, interconnected global airline networks.
Okay, so the Chicago Convention wrote the rulebook. But a rulebook is kind of useless if there's no referee to make sure everyone's playing by the same rules, right? Well, that's where IACO comes in. Their whole mission is to set the global standards. And Icao's mission is huge. We're talking about making sure aviation grows safely, that aircraft are designed for peaceful uses, and that the whole infrastructure of airways and airports is up to snuff. And a big one, preventing airlines from getting into crazy, wasteful competition. It's all about making air travel safe, regular, and efficient for everybody. So how do they actually do all that? The real nuts and bolts are in what are called the 19 technical annexes. Honestly, the best way to think of them is like the ultimate how-to guides for global aviation. They cover absolutely everything in incredible detail. And if you're an aircraft technician or you're studying to be one, this is where you need to lean in. Annex 1, Personnel Licensing. This one is everything for you. It is the global gold standard for your qualifications and your license. It's the very reason your skills are recognized all over the world. All right, so we've got the big global picture with IACO. But how does a global standard turn into a hard and fast rule that you have to follow? To see that, let's zoom in from the global level to the regional level, specifically to Europe.
So let's build this out. At the very top of the pyramid, you have Icao. They set the worldwide standards and recommended practices. One level down, here in Europe, the European Commission takes those big picture standards and basically translates them into European policy. And then the Commission hands the ball to a specialized agency to actually implement everything and make sure it gets enforced. And that agency, you probably guessed it, is Easa, the European Union Aviation Safety Agency. You really can't overstate how important Easa is. It is the cornerstone of aviation safety in the EU. Their number one goal, their whole reason for being, is to ensure the highest level of safety protection for citizens. So saying they keep people safe is great, but what does that actually mean? What do they do every day? Let's take a look at this framework in action. Their job is huge. They're the ones writing the actual safety and environmental rules, the real nitty-gritty stuff. They carry out inspections to make sure people are following those rules. They're the ones who give the stamp of approval, the type certification, to new planes and parts. And they approve the very organizations that are allowed to design, build, and maintain aircraft. And it's not just this faceless blob of an agency, it has a real structure. You've got a management board that's kind of like a board of directors, setting the direction. Then there's an executive director who's the day-to-day boss. And, importantly, there's a board of appeals. So if there's a dispute, there's a process to review it and ensure fairness. This really sums it all up perfectly. Icao operates on the global stage, and its output is recommendations and standards. Easa, on the other hand, operates in Europe, and its output is legally binding regulations, like Part 66. That's the key difference. Icao suggests, but Easa makes it law in Europe. So this whole system, born out of the ashes of World War II, has done an incredible job for over 75 years. But think about what's coming next. We're talking about drones delivering packages, sustainable fuels, maybe even flying taxis. So the real question we have to ask is, can this 75-year-old framework keep up? Can it adapt to keep the skies of tomorrow just as safe as the skies of today?